Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today, we are joined by Melanie Childers, the feminist business coach. She teaches people how to master sales so it feels easy, collaborative, and fun. Welcome to the show, Melanie. I'm really excited to chat with you about this important topic.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to be here. It's such an honor.
I was telling you beforehand, I'm really excited about this conversation because I have many decades of experience in sales and all kinds of things. And I was looking at your website and you're talking about selling t-shirts and cars and all the stuff. So it's kind of different now though, isn't it?
It is. It is. I feel like the online world has definitely made sales a different game. And especially when you're a coach or you're selling your services, it's very different from selling a product in like a retail store.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think the main differences are? And then we'll talk about some of the similarities.
Yeah, what I have heard so many people say, and from my own personal experience too, is that when you're selling, a product, or even as I used to work with progressive candidates who were running for office, even when you are making phone calls to fundraise, like you're making those sales for something. It's outside of you. And it's easy to separate from you versus when you're selling your services, you're essentially selling yourself and your brilliance and your expertise and your creativity and your genius. And especially if you are a woman or one of us who has been socialized as a woman in a patriarchal society, we are taught that our value is less and that our thoughts and our opinions and our wisdom is worth less. And so it is much more challenging to sell our brilliance. We have a lot of conditioning to unravel in order to do that unapologetically, on repeat, often in very bold ways, which is just what tends to come naturally for those socialized as men in our society. So it's much, much easier to sell something that's not quote unquote yours. It's more challenging to sell something that came from you.
I have a thought on that, and I agree. It is much more difficult. I think it stems from the fact that women generally feel like they're not enough. They're not good enough. They lack in some way. And the idea of being told no is really hard on many women. It's terrifying. And rather than looking at it as like, you're just making an offer, you're just giving somebody an opportunity to get your help. And they have a right to say yes or no. Yes or no are both perfectly fine answers. What you do not want, and most people seem to be attracted towards, is the maybe. The maybe is an empty promise. It will never, ever get filled.
Yeah. Yeah. What I find for so many is that no is terrifying and we don't want to hear it. And so we will do anything to keep that from happening, which means that we don't sell and we don't show up often enough and we don't take risk and we don't actually serve because we're so afraid of coming off as salesy or of actually selling because we're so afraid to hear the no. We're so afraid of the rejection. And a lot of the work that I have done with clients is, I call it detaching from the sale. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you lean all the way back and you don't care if they say yes or no. It means that you show up in service, and a yes or a no doesn't mean anything about you as a human or your
Exactly.
value or your worthiness. And I think that for so many, especially starting out entrepreneurs who are, coaches selling services, that is one of the key pieces that you have to unravel. My first 100K year, I spent most of the time unraveling, feeling terrible when I would hear no. Like, I wanted to be an actress when I was growing up, but I was so scared of going to all of these auditions and hearing no that it would just absolutely crumble me. So I was like, yeah, well, I'm just not going to do that. And then I got into sales. I was like, huh, what do you know? Gonna have to hear no a lot.
Yeah, and you don't get really used to it. And I also think that as women, the idea of getting a yes is sometimes just as scary as getting a no, because now
Mm-hmm.
you've got a client, what are you gonna do with them?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you've
Especially
got to execute and take action and help someone. And then
deliver.
up comes all of the thoughts about, well, am I good enough? Am I worth it? Should I be the person that they hire? Can I actually help them? All of these doubts come to the surface.
Yeah, and it's really, I think it's easier to sell other people's stuff than your own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because your own stuff is like, unless you're really a confident human being, it's much easier to boost somebody else as a woman. It's much easier to boost somebody else up and say, hey, look at this person over here and how great they are and all the things they do. And it's less, it is honestly less personal, because you know, yeah, you're not going to get paid, but it's not all about you either.
Right. Your ego is not on the line. Right?
Exactly.
It's like, how easy is it for us to tell us about, 2023 was the year of the Stanley Tumbler. How easy is it for us to tell each other about the Stanley Tumbler when there's nothing writing on it for us? It's just like, hey, oh my God, this thing's amazing. Or, oh my God, are you wearing these shoes or this brand or this purse? Right? That's so much easier for us to have energy and confidence behind because there's nothing on the line. And when it comes to
Yeah.
selling your services and your work, what's on the line is your ego. And
Yeah.
so much of the work that I've done with clients and that I've had to do myself is that detaching from the sale, detaching from any meaning that your goals have or the yes or the no has about you as a human. You are just doing the work of a business when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
Because if you're not selling, you don't have a business. You might have a hobby,
Yeah.
but you have to go out and sell in order to make money one way or another. It's either going to cost you in, you know, time and going up and meeting people and showing up, or it's going to cost you in money in advertising or in being physically at places that you pay to be at.
Yeah. And you have to be making offers. You
100%.
always have to be making offers, and you have to know how to make the offer in a way that is appealing to the person that you're trying to help. There's there's a lot of things that go behind actually making an offer that I think people, women in particular, who get into coaching, they don't really think about all of these other aspects of what it means to be an entrepreneur and what it means to be in business for yourself. They're just like, they just want to help people.
Yeah. And that's where I was at too. When I first started coaching, it changed my life so fundamentally that like it pulled me out of a really negative depression cycle. And I was actively hunting for something to help my brain because I was like, I do this every night and we play the same tape every night and I cry myself to sleep every night for 6 months. And this is stupid and I'm done and I'm over it. And that's not me. That's not where I want to go. It's not who I want to be. How do I get out of this? And that is how I found coaching. This was after um, a stint with breast cancer at 35. And I worked with other survivors, because I was like, look, I can't be the only one who's like, I do not accept this label, and this is not my identity. I plan to thrive after this. I plan to move forward after this. I can't be alone in that. And yeah, like I think that we so often find something like coaching, much like the therapy wave that came before us as coaches, that we
Mhm.
find how transformational it is. And we have hearts of service. And so we want to help people with the thing that we've learned. And so many coaches specifically just do not understand at the beginning what it actually takes to run a business. It's much more than let me create a website and hold out my shingle and hope people come, or let me send one email or post one time on Facebook and hope people come. That's what I thought. And I had run a successful business before, but shit is different because I was selling a product versus selling my services. And I think so many people just don't quite understand all of the moving parts that happen. And so it's much easier for them to say, well, I tried it 5 times and it didn't work for me, or let me go work for someone else. And it's like, if you know that you have a passion on your heart and you are a helper in the world, one of the most powerful and important things that you can do is learn all of the skill sets that it takes to run a business. However you want to learn it, however long you want to take to do it. I think having your own business gives you so much more freedom as just a woman in this world, and especially as a
Yeah.
coach in the world.
And it's so significant. And you shouldn't be afraid to pay for help. People go
100%.
and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get business degrees in universities and think nothing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably think a lot of it when they're paying back those student loans, but
For sure.
but it's what makes people think that you can just, hang out your shingle and open a website and you have no idea about web design or how things connect together. And I know that that's what they teach you in coaching courses. They lead you to believe that, pay me, $10,000 or whatever it costs to get certified as a life health or transformational coach, and will help you get started. Well, help you get started is not nearly enough.
Yeah. There's so much more skill building that goes into it. There's the market research that everybody wants to skip because we have this great idea, or we still feel so passionate about something. But if you don't slow down to take the time to figure out who actually is my dream client and what do they want to buy right now, what is the problem that is on fire for them that they are willing to whip out their credit card to solve it today, they're already looking for it. You don't ever have to do any convincing when your messaging speaks to those people. But that's a
They'll
skill.
track you down.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, I have people in my DMs every day because I speak specifically to that problem that's on fire for them. They want to make more sales more consistently and with more ease and fun. It's like, it's simple, but that does not mean that it didn't take work. It took me
Yeah.
a while to figure that out. And I think we've just been sold this there. This is not new to the coaching world or even the internet, right? There've always been just spend this amount of money and you'll be a millionaire. There've always been those schemes since as far back as we can track, print, and even before then, right?
Even before then, it was the gold rush was all about.
That exactly, right? Like just stake this claim and buy this claim and you too will be a gold billionaire. And it's like that's not exactly how that worked. But
But the
I think it's
shopkeepers made a lot of money.
right, but I think it's easy. The human brain wants to believe that it's easier than it is. And what I really want people to know is that simple and easy are not the same thing. Learning how to message is simple. Learning how to sell is simple. That does not mean that it's easy. That does not mean that you're going to master it overnight. You have to be willing to practice. You have to be willing to take a lot of action and screw it up in order to learn what's going to work for your ideal people. And I think so many people are like, just tell me exactly what to say. And it's not that simple because your audience is different, your skill set is different. That's on you to learn. Nobody can just hand you a magic key, even though our human brains want the simplest, easiest path. The work
And
is
the
in you have to,
sure,
yeah, you have to figure it out for your specific audience.
they want a surefire thing. They don't
Oh,
want
yeah,
to test and
right. They want
see and be
guarantees.
curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are no guarantees. Life doesn't come with guarantees,
Death and
but it
taxes, right?
also doesn't criticize you if you try. And sometimes
Right.
just getting a whole bunch of no's is the best thing you can get because it gives you some
100.
experience. It shows you what doesn't work. And,
100%.
you know, sometimes if you're really not very confident, ask your friends, hey, let me practice on you.
Yeah.
Be tough. Don't don't want to buy from me.
Yeah.
Help me to
Yeah.
figure out how to navigate this in a way that um, allows me to be in my authentic voice, but also helps me to hear no from people that I trust and that I feel safe around, you know, and practice hearing no. It's like
Yeah. It's kind
the
of like
best way to get
exposure
over
therapy, right?
it.
Yeah. And I think, so many people hesitate to hear no. They're afraid to get on sales calls because they might hear no. And that's exactly it. It's like whatever you can do to create a safe environment for yourself if you're just starting out to hear no consistently. There is so much more learning in the no than there is in the yes. There's so much more learning in the failure than there is from your successes. But you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to hear no. You have to be willing to get your messaging wrong in order to figure out how to get it right. And
Yeah.
it's never about you. It's never about you. It's just, okay, that wording didn't land. What else am I going to try?
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you're a failure. It just means that that way didn't work. Let's try something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that learning is the number one gift that an entrepreneur can have. And that doesn't mean like just go spend all of your business time learning, but that does mean like be willing to learn from what's working and what's not every week. And then you know what to do different the next week. And you learn so much faster and you make progress so much faster.
Yeah, you do make progress faster. And even if you have to go out and sell for somebody else for a little while, try that and listen to what a variety of people have to say on sales, not just like one person, because different people approach sales in different ways. And and even some of the bro marketers out there that kind of make my skin crawl, but they have they have things that they do that if you kind of like pull them back a little bit, rein them in, are sound principles. But some of them teach things that are like, God, I wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah, there can be sound principles executed grossly, right?
Yes, yes,
And
that's
then there's sound
exactly it.
principles executed with, without pressure, with ease, with integrity, with consent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
other
all in
thing
the
I
way that you approach it.
the other thing I think is that people need to learn how to say no. If you can say no to others, and women almost universally have trouble saying no. They'll say maybe or I'll think about it, but they won't just say no. They won't own the no. And so they have a hard time hearing it from other people. They're like, well, I would never tell anybody no. So why is somebody telling me no? So practice saying no. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to be mean about it, but just say no. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. And stand your ground because
Mm-hmm.
people will people will push on you. And
Yep.
if you can learn to stand your ground, then you can also learn to help people figure out why they're saying no. Because if you have somebody on the phone with you obviously they're interested in whatever it is that you're doing. Something drew them to be on the phone call with you. And if they're talking, if you've explained what your offer is, and a lot of times that's where the problem comes in, is you don't explain the offer very clearly so that the person doesn't understand how they're going to benefit from this or how they're going to get the result that they're looking for. And they'll tell you no, or I have to think about it. The I have to think about it, it's usually because they don't understand what it is you've said. And so they think that they're going to go away and maybe think about it, but nobody ever does, because once you hang up the phone, that's it, they're gone. So if they ever tell you they're going to think about it, they're
It's
not.
probably just a no.
Yeah.
Assume it's a
No,
no.
without taking the responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's why
Well,
I
and
say
I
practice it.
so many people are afraid to hear no because they're afraid that they're going to make somebody else mad,
Yeah.
or they're going to cue for them the sales push and they don't want to experience that. And it is my experience that people love to be sold to, but they don't love to feel sold to. And there's a
Yes.
difference. But you can never really worry about making someone mad. Your no is not about them, your no is about the offer. So, yes, saying no more often is actually incredibly helpful and builds your belief that it's okay and it's a safe place for you to say no, and it's okay and a safe place for other people to say no to you. And I think it's so absolutely critical to not take a no personally, to understand and make a decision ahead of time in your own mind that any no is not about me as a human. It's not about my value. It's not about my worth. There's just something missing in my selling. Maybe I didn't explain the offer well enough. Maybe I didn't link it back to the results that they're going to get. Maybe they felt some kind of pressure and I need to work on creating a safe space for them to say yes or no, or to even like have the conversation, the decision-making conversation that's in their mind out loud with me.
Yeah. And not being afraid to ask for them to have that conversation with you, and
To
in a
make a
way
decision.
that's respectful. I would like to help you make this decision. Whether it's yes or no, it's really okay. But I would like to help you. And I've reframed selling in my mind as helping people, because
100%.
that's all it is. If you genuinely want and care for that person to get the best you have to offer, and if what you have to offer truly will help them, I think it's criminal for you not to offer them, to make the offer to them. And then explore with them, what where their pulling points are. If it genuinely is money, there's things you can do around money to make it so that it works for them. You can't just be like so married to it's got to be this.
Yeah.
It's everything's negotiable. You
Yeah.
know what you're willing to do and what they're willing to do. If what you have to offer is really what they want, and if they say, "Oh, that's too expensive, I can't afford that," then the next thing out of your mouth needs to be, "Well, setting the money aside, is this something you want to do?" Because if you get down to the yes, it is, or the no, it isn't, then you're just working out the money details. And
Yeah.
that's not a big deal.
Yeah. And I think so many people are afraid to, especially women, because we've been taught not to talk about money, that money's not for us.
Money's bad.
That's that it's confusing or money's bad. Exactly. It's like having the money conversation is in service to your people. My reframe for selling is that selling is serving. And
Mhm.
exactly the same as you. Like if I know for sure that I can help you get a result and I see that you are suffering, it does you a wild disservice for me to not sell to you, to not offer to help you, and to show you how helping you and you taking these next steps will help you get where you want to go. And here's the thing, y'all, people will find the money for the things that they truly, truly want. Period. Full stop. Even if their first thought is, I don't have it. Yeah, nobody has like coaching money just laying around. Few people have coaching as a budget line item, unless they're a really big company that pays for leadership coaching. For the most part, most people don't have a budget line item for coaching. And it's okay. We will still go spend, $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 on a purse because we want it to make us feel a particular way. It's the same with anything else. When you really want something, you will find a way. And so part of your work in the messaging and in the selling conversation is continuing to loop back to what is the result that they want? What's the desired outcome that they want? And why do they want that? I keep pointing back to here's how I will help you get it. Here's how I will help you do it.
And don't be afraid to ask for the money, the higher amount of money, because when you pay, you have to stretch to get something. You do value it more. If you're just like everyday spending, you don't think about it that much. And you may pay 25 for 30 or 50 or 150, whatever your limit is, on coaching things. And I know I've done this before. I'll get stuff and I'll never look at it, or I'll go through it briefly. I'll just skim through it to see what it's about. Never go back to it.
Yep. I will tell you that in my experience, I have had friends that were in tight financial situations, and I would give them literally free access to multiple 5-figure offers and say, look, just come here, let me help you.
Yep.
Do you have any idea how many of those people actually did anything with any of that information? Exactly. Goose egg. None of them. And they are all still exactly where they were because they didn't have any skin in the game.
Yep.
Not because the information wasn't amazing. They didn't do anything with it because they didn't have any skin in the game.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way with pricing. It's like there are some things that I will always have in my suite of offers that are free and accessible pricing. But for the people who are serious and who really want to get results and are ready to come do the work that it takes to grow a business that feels aligned with your values, you have to have skin in the game. I want it to feel not like you're going to go throw up every day because it's costing you so much money, but I want it to feel a little bit stretchy, a little bit edgy. It should, or you won't take it seriously.
Yeah. Everything else will come before that. It's like dieting. If you pay some money to get help with your dieting, you're going to spend a little more attention on it versus, I'm just going to make my New Year's resolution to eat better.
Yeah. Guess what? That never works.
This is the same cost thing. You don't have anything invested in it, and you may want it, but really it's.
Yeah. Well, and the way that I think about, our problems and selling, and especially when it comes to coaching, is that everything costs us something. It either costs you with your attention, your time, or your money. And so you have to think about where am I spending? Where and what am I spending? And if I had a faster path, would I be willing to spend a little bit more here in order to save in one of those other areas? Whether it's I'm willing to spend a year learning how to detach from the sale so that I don't have to spend that money on those sales calls. Because after 100 no's, it starts to hurt emotionally, right? It starts to hurt your confidence, starts to hurt your belief in yourself, and you're not making money, but you're spending a lot of time on those calls learning the hard way.
You're spending money.
Yeah, you're spending money, you're losing money. And so it's like, I would rather invest in a program that I know will help me get better at that faster than spend the time falling on my face over and over and over with no one to help me figure out how to do it better. And the same is true with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody listening, the same is true with your clients. Where are they spending when they could be saving? Because we always look at the money. We're like, oh, but it's too expensive. Okay, but what's it costing you in stress, in time? It's costing you in money elsewhere too.
Pharmaceutical drugs to take care of your problems, or to at least mask them over so that you can function.
Yeah.
I know of one person who's a coach, and she actually saved her clients. Her coaching program wasn't inexpensive, but she actually saved her clients like $350 a month because she got them off of all these drugs that they were paying for. Drugs are expensive,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
legal
always a
or
great place
otherwise.
to look. Right. It's always a great place to look. Is like, what else are they spending their money on thinking that it's solving the problem?
Yeah,
You could help them add that up. Like, actually, this is going to help you save money down the line.
yeah. And just cost benefits example. So I know you get you have an offer that you make for people. It's called the consensual sales masterclass. I'm sorry, I was trying to read my writing, which is really hard. I should have been a doctor. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I created this class to help people have, especially coaches, have better sales calls that feel less salesy, because so many of us are so afraid of being salesy. That's like you're only salesy when you're pushing, and that's really only happening when you are attached to the yes. And so I teach you how to have consensual sales conversations that just feel like a natural conversation with somebody and helps lead them to the questions that you ask at the end. Do you want to do this work? Do you want to do it with me? And like you said, putting aside the price, do you want this? Do you want this outcome? Are you willing to do the work that it takes to get there? Because those honest answers inform whether or not they're a good fit client for you. And it makes your sales percentages go up. So, what I found for so many of my clients who go through this is they may have started with 10 to 20% close rates, which are supposed to be like golden, right? That's like the golden rule. And we took them closer to 70 and 80% close rates because it's just a free flowing conversation where you're honoring someone's humanity, you're present with them, you're attentive, you've built rapport, and it just feels like an amazing conversation where you come to an empowered decision together. I'm going to decide if I want to work with you. If I know for sure I can help you in my programs, you're going to decide if you want to work with me and if you want to do the work that's inside this program, and we move forward together or not. And it never means anything about you. And that means that you can show up fully in service without feeling needy or clingy or gross or slimy, whatever adjectives you attach to sales. It lets you just be present with the client and help
Yeah.
them make a good decision.
And those conversations are so amazing, whether they end up being your client or not right now. You may find that they fit into something later on, or that as you evolve, and we're always constantly evolving, that they may circle back, or they may
Yeah.
not. But
Yeah. And that's always welcome too. But I will tell you that the people that you use this kind of structure with, they never feel sold to. They never
yep,
feel like you're twisting their arms or trying to pin them down or trying to make them make a decision. And that will create more and more raving fans and referrals. And so, like, this system is always a win. And it always feels, to me at least, and for my clients in our experience, it always feels like a good conversation. It always feels like you are genuinely helping someone. And I think that's what we all want.
I think so too. So how can people get in touch with you?
Sure, of course. So my website is melaниechilders.com, and you can get your copy of the Consensual Sales Conversations on that main page. And I also run a podcast called The Bad Bitch Entrepreneur. Check that out on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else that you stream and listen to podcasts. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all the fun places. Just have a little search for me. I'm impossible to miss. I'm loud and unapologetic and I'm everywhere.
Yeah, I
So.
love it. And you like pink.
I do. I am wearing pink. I have a pink on my giant painting behind me. My website's pink. Yes.
I did notice that. I love it. So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today, Melanie?
Oh gosh. There are so many things. How do I dial it down to a bite-sized piece? I think the main thing is that selling is service, and you offering your services to people is doing them a absolute respectful in-service thing to do for the right people. You don't just, of course, randomly offer your stuff to everybody, but for the right people, it's selfish and a disservice to not sell and to not make your offer to them. So please go unapologetically. Stop worrying about what your mama and your cousin and your sister and your friends from high school think about you, and go offer your services today. Go sell today, every day, because the more conversations you have, the more sales you will make.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been amazing.
Oh, this has been such a blast. Thank you so much for having me, and huge hug to all of your listeners. Y'all go get it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.